Some kind of product, a thing. We've been talking about that also in preparing the Crealab Mobile. What is a product? Is a product something you have to, like, out of plastic made in China, which you have to be able to put on the table? Or is a service, or the way you talk to people, or the way you organize people, isn't that also these, to me, the services in that way, having an idea of a structure is also a product. So I want to have that basic idea of a product. And then the two other things I think are the most important are less concrete. It is a total motivation for what you're doing, really a wanting to communicate this product and the way it's done, the way it's built to someone else, the interest also in the people you're working with. I think that's also important. I think entrepreneurs, we've seen enough people in this world who only wanted to make cars, to make more cars and even some more cars that could then drive a bit quicker. But the real motivation should not be within that product, but the motivation should be within the about who you're making the product for and why you're making it. And that's the third thing, the importance of the product for the future world. That you don't, I don't think one should start any kind of enterprise today in 2014 if you don't sort of have the feeling of what does that imply for the future.
Sorry, this motivation, I mean, what I see, you need a drive, yeah? And I'm especially somebody, if I don't have a drive, I won't do anything. If you're an entrepreneur, you have to face difficulties. So in order to overcome, to be willing to overcome difficulties, you need a very good drive. And for me, for drive, you need two things. You need a vision, and you need a possibility. You can't have just a vision, because only a vision leads to frustration. Possibilities is about being open to the world and being open to see things from different points of view. To be able, from a design point of view, it's about materials. From sociology is about how or society changes. So like just possibilities. And those two things together give you a drive.
I think it's very essential to me, and this is what you mentioned also now. It's like this drive, and it's nice that you like kind of mentioned the motivation, like the intrinsic motivation. I really want to do it, and you kind of added to it that it should also, there is also the possibility. You need to have the possibility. And the question is like, does the drive or does the vision or the motivation and the importance for you for this project, is this enough? So what is the possibilities that you mentioned?
If you only have a vision, as I said, it leads to frustration. If you only have possibilities, it leads to a situation where you can't make any choice. And I find this very interesting, actually. I find it so interesting to go with my wife to a restaurant and see that whatever I choose, she always wants the same thing. And I think this is such a modern problem, you know. People are not willing or able to choose, because if we're not choosing, all the options are still open. And I think an entrepreneur is able to close these options, and that's a very difficult one.
I think you need to, you have to focus, and you have to go through the whole process, because I think it's very easy to have ideas. It's very easy to...
That's just about the possibility.
Yeah, that's only the possibilities. And it's that's the vision.
No, that's possibility.
Not the vision.
Vision is the other one. Vision is this one goal.
Focus.
Vision is frustration. Possibilities is the lack of choice, I would say.
What does it mean to be entrepreneurial? It's empowerment thing. It's been discussed a lot, like empowering people so that you actually can do or maybe make a decision. It's a good, maybe a good point. And I think those people who can make decisions, they see a lot of choice. Like they have a lot of possibilities. I just need to choose. But there is also people that think that they could choose, but they don't see possibility. Maybe because they don't want to make a choice. Sometimes people go like, I have this idea, but I'm not sure if I really should do it. Someone needs to tell me to do it. Someone needs to, maybe I should try to find an investor, because when he invests money in what I want to do, I'm kind of reassured that it's a good thing to do. And so it's a bit both sides, like this opening of ideas and the choice to make is somehow interlinked. I think it's that people who can actually think entrepreneurially, they have a lot of options, and then they have the difficulty to choose. But some people think I have no options, and I'm not sure what to choose or how to choose.
But what's really interesting, of course, with this question is that it is actually what we're really looking for at the moment, isn't it? It's one of the things that I just don't get is that in Greece or in Denmark, I think really less here for some odd reason, but that's because there isn't a crisis. But there are all these. When I look at Greece, I'm in front of a nothing. I need to, out of the ground, stamp something so that I can make a living and create a world, an existence for myself. What do? I look at what is around and I say, okay, I'm going to invest a lot of energy here. I know it's going to mean that I'm going to have very little to eat. I'm not going to be confronted by the people around me, but I'm going to go in there and do it because I have to get food to eat. And what I don't understand is that that out of this situation of having limited possibilities, people don't develop ideas, and the students as well. Why don't the students, they have this space, they have to do something there, why don't they try to...
But this is what I mean, it's this kind of this interlocked situation where because this is I sometimes think, oh, I have so many things that I could do, I really have to choose to be more effective. And then I meet friends that say, look, listen, I have no job, so I don't going to do anything as long as I'm not paid. And I'm like, okay, so this is a very difficult situation, and I'm sometimes afraid, can you get into this situation where you're actually starting with not having any vision anymore or no inspiration, at the same time not being willing or being afraid or being locked into the situation where you can actually not open up your mind to things. So.
Well, I think a negative spiral is possible, unfortunately. You know, you just get more and more into a situation where you think, you know, you're blocking your own mind, really.
But I would like to go back to that, because I think one of the most important things, and we saw it today, is that you have to be able to tell what you want to do, and you have to be able to share that you are understood by the others. Otherwise, you're with your vision, your idea, and you're not able to convince the others that that's a product or that's a need in the market or wherever. And I think that's very important for all entrepreneurs. And I think that's the thing that a lot of entrepreneurs or wannabe entrepreneurs are not willing to do, because they think we have a complex thing, we can't tell that in 3 sentences, that's not possible, and we will be reduced to our, just one part of our thing. And I think that's very important, and you're able to do that.
Yeah, I don't like what you said.
And to be able to communicate it.
To communicate it and to keep it simple.
But when we have this
Also,
situation of where it's very end of this period, you're locked in, you cannot do things, and you cannot even imagine. If we turn this,
then is the question,
if we turn it around, then the question is, what is the minimum requirement? So if you're, let's say, in this situation, you have no inspiration and you cannot take decision, what does it take to take you out of this situation? Because this is actually the minimum, or this is the actual situation where you're not able to be entrepreneurial.
But I think these are these entrepreneurs out of a bad situation. And the question, if you have no alternatives, that's the kind of...
and what is their minimum requirement?
And maybe you can't compare it to other ones, or maybe it's a very special situation.
Yeah, I think what you were talking about, of course, communication is very important, but isn't the whole idea that in doing it, you're offering the product, and by offering the product you're also communicating about it. So it's not about sitting back and thinking about how to communicate this, but it's about taking the product and having the motivation to take that thing out there, show it, and also to do it, of course, to act upon it. And that's one of the things that we're, I think Crealab and Creamobile has been all about. And we're not running around making all, but we're doing it because that is actually what it takes. It takes something which is there. It takes this action. So communication in itself is not enough if there isn't any action behind it.
Or a product.
Or a product.
Well, this idea of how you're thinking about marketing or just selling your knowledge, because it's as part of my activity. I'm a consultant as well, and for me it's inspiring to get these visions, alternative ideas on the topic. In a way, I think we share a common vision, but yes, I got some nice insights and just to reflect later on. So.